You got the stick.
Call meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shonda? Here. Councilmember Deutsch?
Here.
Councilmember Chrysler?
Here.
Mayor Craig?
Here.
And Councilmember Spurlock is fighting fires.
Wish you the best.
Absolutely.
All right, please join me in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the election of new council officers. Mayor and Vice Mayor. Yes, sir.
Are you entertaining a motion, or was there?
Well, I wanted to just make sure that everyone's comfortable doing this without Josh. Is that okay with everyone?
I think Josh is comfortable with it too.
Okay. Is we going to talk with Josh? He's okay? It seems like something he would want to be part of, but he can't be here tonight, so it seems fine with me. If I could just say a couple of things before there's any motions.
You're the mayor, sir.
Which is that, just wanted to thank everyone in the city for the past year being your mayor. It's been a privilege and an honor, and particularly gratifying when you get to work on things that you feel like are important and have made progress. So just want to thank Sergeant Marrow and our new city manager, Mark Brannigan, in particular, and of course all the staff, the office, who always help out the mayor a little bit extra, and so makes the job a lot easier having such great staff and such great people to work with. So I want to thank you all, and with that, yeah, we'll have a discussion, motions.
Anybody else? All right. On that note.
You seem really good to talk.
Yeah, I first of all, I would like to thank Bryce for an outstanding job. You have made a difference. Your efforts on the Mossbury Falls will mortify your representation on this council for years to come. It's the battles that we fought, and this is one that you won. You haven't won it, but you've made a difference, and I'm proud to have served on this council with you. On that note, it is my honor to acknowledge and recognize somebody that I think that has fought for a very long time. And yeah, buddy, your day's come. From sitting in the house going, come on outside, let's have a barbecue. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow council members, I nominate Bruce Deutsch as mayor for the city of Dunsmuir.
All right, is there a second? I'll second Bruce if no one else will. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Okay, all abstaining? No vote?
Okay, what about
Oh, you voted out. Okay, thank you. It was unanimous then. I didn't hear you. Okay,
Ladies and gentlemen, you
congratulations.
did bear. You earned it, dude. It's been a rough battle, man. You fought a lot of battles from the less than wild days to what we're going through now. You stepped up, dude. It's an honor. So, Mr. Mayor, you have the gavel. I'd like to make another motion.
Yes, Mr. Chrysler.
I'd like to make a motion that this lady that's fought from keeping our town safe from fires from way back in the days in the Fire Safety Council. She's led the brigade on the fire issues to this date. She's done wonders with posting things. She's like the gossip lady. If there's something going on in council, she's gonna make sure that that town knows about it. So it's my honor to nominate Mari Shanta for vice mayor for the city of Dunsmuir.
I'll second that. We have a first and a second. Do I hear a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Welcome to be the vice mayor there.
congratulations, Lee. You guys have both earned it, and it's been my honor to fight battles with you so far, really serious.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone.
It's your day.
I would like to say that I really can't start with anything except acknowledging that it was former Mayor Heisler who got me involved in this whole thing and opened up a whole new chapter in my life, and I'll be grateful for that. And also grateful for all the people who passed their ballot to return to the council last year, and I look forward to this opportunity to serve the best that I possibly can. Thank you all for your support.
Give him one more, you know? He still did a good job. Give him
Well,
one
he
more.
did. I think he definitely did.
We got to, look at this. We got a killer council now, people. It's great. You don't know until you sat up here working with people and your team matters and makes a difference. You don't know what it's like. To me, I thank you for the opportunity. So, sorry, that's bad.
That's fine. Thank you. So, come on in. We need to approve the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Here a
I'll second that.
Mari, you?
It's fine.
Okay.
I'm not gonna compete.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to approval of minutes, November 16, 2017. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 16th, 2017.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have committee reports. I'll start off with economic development and tourism. We met on the 30th at 5 p.m. Present were myself, city manager, chamber director, Richard Dinges, and Josh Spurlock, who's the other committee member. Basically, we went over the various opportunities that are sitting around right now, things like the House of Glass and Travelers Hotel, things in the airport. We're trying to come up with a way to reach out and particularly develop the land to the east of the airport, the 78.4 acres we have up there. I know that I think today, Richard Dinges, Mr. Dinges had received the topographical maps that were created as part of the airport layout plan. And so we are looking at how we might develop that, and I know Richard is already looking at the map and imagining where roads might go and other things might happen. One of the things that we have a real possible lead on is some developers that would be interested in coming in and installing large warehouses out there. Again, we have 78 acres that are a property adjacent to the airport, and so we have some people that are interested in possibly putting warehouses there because of the local transportation, both interstate and the airport itself. And if that would happen, that would be a real boon to both the airport and the city. So that's our most exciting thing right now. I can say that there are people that are talking about the Travelers Hotel, that it hasn't moved beyond talking, but at least talking is better than not having any, so something's happening there. And we do have somebody that has the House of Glass and escrow. Not sure how that will go because there might be some zoning issues with it, but that pretty much is what we've talked about. And any questions on that?
No.
Next, finance. No finance meeting, is that right?
Nope.
The one thing we did talk about, by the way, with regards to finance, so I know that Mark is going to be putting this on your agenda down the line, but it's to come up with a resolution of how to get Airbnb funding coming through on an automatic basis. So it seems that the finance committee is a logical place to do that, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
We got an email that, Airbnb doesn't seem to be an issue from the planning.
No, it's just from the finance side because there,
So I
Airbnb,
think that's a staff issue,
That's probably-
because, you know, if they're not paying their fuel taxes, then, you know, it's going to have to do code enforcement to, you know, if they're not getting licenses and if they're not getting that, it's nothing much the finance committee can do. It's going to be a code enforcement issue to go and make sure that they, you know, that they're paying their fuel fees and their,
I think if there's any,
business licenses.
I think if there's any issues about it, if there continue to be at least thoughts that people aren't paying what they should be paying, the appropriate way would just be to direct staff to give the council a memo and investigate and see if they agree with that or not. And if so, then have staff develop a plan for how to make sure that we're collecting all the appropriate fees.
We're actually further than that.
That's okay, we have to wait.
I was going to say, we're actually further than that in the sense that I've contacted Airbnb, and they do have a relationship in the state of California that any city and municipality that reaches out to them will set it up so any Airbnb units automatically charge the TOT tax. So it's really, I'm not sure if it really does need to come before the finance committee, but it is a matter of sorting out that connection and making sure we get into that program.
So in that case, is it Airbnb that's then paying the city?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not happening now?
No, it's because we haven't arranged to have that set up, so that needs to be set up.
It sounds like we need to direct staff to just do that.
I would literally,
Okay, Mrs. had her hand up, and if she got something to say, I suggest we listen to her.
Just want to let you know, this week I received a copy of the resolution that was passed by the Board of Supervisors for Siskiyou County that had the whole resolution about the wording and everything to direct Airbnb to start forwarding all the TOT for both the Tourism Improvement District as well as their county lodging to the county. So I have a copy of that. I reached out, it was done through.
So the resolution has passed and they have been informed, so.
Through for the county,
For the
Right.
county.
correct.
So we don't have to worry about the city level, will be dispersed from the
No, we
county?
would need to do that separately as well.
Oh, separate.
I sent an email to the tax collector's office asking them if they could get back to me and let me know the process, the contact, and any information that would assist us in moving forward to do that as well. So they're kind of in a big deal right now because it's tax collection time for property taxes, so I expect maybe after the first week that I get back, but just want to let you know that we have that information.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
We're already on track, we have a path we can follow there, that we know who to contact and how to go about it.
If you'd like, I'd like to make a copy of that and put it in each of your boxes or email it to you.
That'd be great.
But the council should expect a resolution at a future meeting?
Once we find out how to move
Yes.
forward, yes, based upon your experience, yes.
and I would just like to add that the planning commission did recommend that something be done about the TOT aspect of vacation rentals.
Yeah.
So that's what we
Okay, public facilities and services, will we, I assume?
Nope, not since our last meeting.
Airport, we're in the middle right now of figuring out a way, again, as I said, we talked about the last couple of meetings, sustainability with the airport, a way to bring in enough revenue so that we can be self-sustaining, particularly with the need to continue on with the capital improvement program. So that's one of the cross connects with the economic development, the idea of opening up that property up there to development and finding a way to get revenue in from there. But we're also going to be meeting and talking about ways, particularly of doing in-kind contributions, so that, for instance, all the work that Mark does as city manager managing the airport can be written off as part of the grant funding. And we're looking at ways of doing that, and we're going to be meeting specifically to talk about other more creative ways that we can do to minimize whatever impact we're going to have on the budget going forward. So that's kind of where we are right now with that. Emergency plan task force.
We haven't met because there's nothing going on, but I got an email today from Arlene that we heard from FEMA finally, and they're going to send us the template. She asked me if I can get the committee up so we can go through the 10-page, just that template to Dunsmuir, make sure that we're signatories and are not the city that has never signed on, which opens us up, the emergency, when there's an emergency declaration, then we are available, or we are
Eligible.
eligible
Mhm.
to receive funds.
Great. So do you have a committee that's already formed? or
Well,
formed?
we did, but we haven't met, for so long that, but there's people that have shown interest, so I will just call them and say, December might be difficult.
Are there other members of the council on the task force?
No,
Just you?
and it was never really, because it was just a task force to try to get an emergency plan, for Dunsmuir, and it was going to be a little bit all encompassing. And then it also, Arlene has to develop I keep forgetting what she has to develop for the city.
On the safety element?
The safety element, so it seemed, like a good idea because the tasks pretty much dovetailed.
Mhm.
But neither one of us have been able to forward anything, so hopefully, here soon, we're going to get active again.
But once we if I might, once we sign up for that, my understanding is that then we're recipients. So if they ever need it, we're automatically qualified for it. We don't have to jump through all the hoops again.
Right.
Yeah,
We were never
that's what you were trying to.
Right, we were never signatories to the county-wide plan. So when the governor declared, emergency areas because of flooding, we were never recipients.
Right,
We were never signatories, so we couldn't even.
I was just trying to make the point that that's what you were trying to
The
do.
only way that I found out was because it was almost impossible to get grants, on the fire issue. But when I talked to the grant writers with FEMA, the meeting I went to, they said, oh yeah, I mean, we can get you on, because we know how important it is, in Dunsmuir's particular topography. And then somebody comes up and says, oh, well, you're not really eligible because you've never signed. So it's
So like we're pre-qualified, what you're doing is trying to
no,
get
it's
us
not,
pre-qualified.
you're not pre-qualified. It's-
Signatory.
You have to be part of the plan for Siskiyou County.
And that's what you're trying to do.
Right, and that's what I have been trying to do for a year to make sure that we are, signatories to that plan.
Would it help if we put out an advertisement
No,
for
nothing is,
volunteers?
no,
Okay.
it's.
Let her know. She got this down.
I'll find people that will work with us to at least, look through the template and, make sure that we're signed up.
Okay. Thank you. Veterans Memorial. We haven't had,
There should be some with sidewalks, but that would be on the city manager. I'm not aware of it at this time. Are we doing anything yet, or is it down the road?
Yeah, I was looking to work through temp service to get somebody coming in and do this work. I held back a little bit just because of some financial things that kind of there was some email out today about some concerns about some of the general fund revenue. So still looking at going forward. I'm looking at scheduling a meeting with the finance committee, maybe not this next week, but the week after, to kind of look at where we're at going into the year. So, money's in the budget, but there's something that may not be coming in that we were anticipating, so those are on hold. The weather's part of the factor as well. Things in the works, but I'm being cautious.
okay, nothing else on that. Mossbury Trail. Any updates here?
No, we sent the proposal that the council saw a few meetings ago to Roseville after, to our contacts there in Roseville, after the city and the Trails Association sort of went back and forth on some of the wording, and essentially made no changes. So the proposal is now in the hands of Francisco and his contacts in Roseville, West Lujan, and the other people who he assured us that he would give to all the right people. So it's just an informal discussion that I had with him. I get, we basically said it'd be great to hear back as soon as possible, to stay on our timeline. We'd love to hear back within a month, and he said that it was unlikely that we would hear back that quickly, but that he would do everything he could to make the case for us and to propel the situation forward. Essentially, the proposal needs to go to Omaha, to the real estate department there, and be approved, at least in concept. So we are hoping that that happens soon, and that we hear back soon, at least with proposed changes or their thoughts in general on the trail option. Still as confident as I was before. Just it might not be by the end of the year. It might be in January until we hear back. So.
And we're expecting that while parts of the corp might not be interested in following through on this, that the legal department in the end is probably going to hold sway in terms of the safety issue.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line at the end of the day is that it's unsafe to be along the tracks, and a trail along the river would alleviate that problem pretty much entirely. And so, it's probably too close to a trail is probably too close to the tracks if there weren't an overwhelming safety issue. It's not the spot that they would probably love to have a trail in their right of way, in their property. But it's certainly better than what the reality of the situation is now, and so we're hoping that that's compelling, not just to their legal team, but to their overall real estate firm as well. So I would expect to hear back in January.
Cool, thank you. Broadband, nothing has changed on that on either of our ends. We haven't
Nope.
seen anything changing there yet, so we're still on hold. Beautification,
They have no more meetings?
We're
We're
gonna,
not
That's
gonna
right,
have
close
meetings,
them down.
don't
Right, right.
okay. Marijuana task force,
so we have a second reading of our, of the ordinance that we've been working on, that the council had the first reading of at our last meeting. It's on our agenda tonight, so we can discuss it then. I do want to just take the opportunity now to thank, so I'm the chairperson or of the task force. The last couple meetings have been really productive, I thought, in terms of moving us forward on some of the more of the particulars around how we're gonna handle things. Obviously, we drafted the ordinance, now it has had its reading in front of the city council, and we'll have the second reading hopefully tonight. But the committee and the task force has continued to work on the myriad of other issues related to cannabis, beginning our discussion of manufacturing facilities at our next meeting. We've been tackling some zoning issues, the zoning issues related to what is in our regulatory ordinance. But once we get through that, we'll be able to then continue the other aspects of the industry. And so I just want to thank everyone on the committee. I saw Lorenzo is here tonight, Sergeant Mero. Anyone else from the task force here tonight? Okay, let's go over there. But some PDs out there have been coming to lots of meetings. And particularly, I want to thank Madi Shanta, our new vice mayor, for helping kind of lead some of the discussions. And I really appreciate her helping us refocus and making sure that we stay on track, as well as I want to particularly thank Craig. Is it Craig's name? Kay? Yeah. Another member of the task force who also has been just really on top of it, and I hope that he takes up the offer someday to join our planning commission if there's a seat available.
I have one there.
Yeah, so maybe a new planning commissioner for us. He just really does his homework, and I've been really impressed working with him, and I'm excited to continue the work. So thank you again, Marty, for all your help on the committee.
how did the city manager do?
He always does great.
He's our secretary, he makes sure everything breaks down. And then we freaked out that whiteboard might have been erased, and we have a picture of it.
Okay, moving on, announcements and public comment. So we'll start off with public comment. You're asked to come up to the podium and give your name and address, and everything you're talking about during public comment should be something that's not on the agenda. If you want to talk on something that is on the agenda, we'll wait till that moment in time. And we can't respond to you during the comment. We can respond after the public comments if there's something relevant that we can give you. So, podium's now open for comment. Out, no public comment. I close the podium.
Give him a second.
They don't want to talk. You guys don't want to talk, do
The
you?
podium is open for public comment.
Oh,
Mr. Dinges, the podium is open for public comment. Did you have anything you wanted to say before it is closed?
Yeah.
See, take advantage of the opportunity.
City Council, I'd like to thank everybody for helping us over the Candles in the Canyon. And we had pretty good success, I think. A lot of fun. Didn't have as many kids as we had last year, but it was still pretty good.
It was raining.
It was
It
raining.
was raining.
Yeah, well, you know, the year before it snowed, so,
Yeah, well, you don't get it wet when it snows, it's when it rains.
well, yeah, well, last year we had almost 150 kids, and this year we had about 50. Not as many as we thought. It was still fun.
It's still slow.
And thank you, David, for leading the parade.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments from the public? If not, I'll close the podium. I'll close the podium. Ms. Shanta, anything from you? I'll start with you, and, oh, actually, let's start with Mark. Mr. Bragdon.
I'd just like to notice that we're having a vision workshop that's been set for December 13th, which is this Wednesday at 5 o'clock here in this council chambers. It's been advertised on our website, in the newspaper, and Julie's been doing a great job of getting the word out. She's helped get the word out to civil groups, to schools, churches, and stuff. So we're looking forward to getting a good diverse group of people and sharing in what we want the future of Dunsmuir to look like.
Final comments on Facebook?
Is it, okay, Mr. Mayor, should I ask?
Sure.
a question?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us, specifically, I just want to make sure that the public who wants to attend that, which I hope everyone can make it, like what should they prepare and like what form do you anticipate the meeting sort of taking place? How is it going to play out?
Very informal, looking at, this will be the first meeting, so it's really going to be more of an introduction. A little bit of a recap or maybe a lesson for some as to what the city does. The mission aspect of the meeting is going to be really what services the city provides, so that everyone has an understanding, because that'll be needed to work towards the mission aspect of it. The vision aspect is really, it's a community exercise. What does the community want? Envision the city being in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And some of that may have to do with the city, and some of it may have to do with the community. But it's really a vision statement of where this city wants to go. And that will be used along with the mission statement to look at goals and also a way to prioritize our budget going forward as to what aspect that this city can do to help get us to realize the vision. We'll look at what we can do to help get us there. And to reach out to other agencies or the community on aspects that they may be able to do to help get us to the vision as well.
So should people expect to be able to just bring an idea, or is it a discussion, or how is it going to?
Bring an idea, just be open. I'd say that for people that come, just be open, respectful, and bring the ideas. There's nothing too small, think big, and we'll look to bring it all down to common, whatever we find as commonality, and we'll go from there and try to really boil it down into a concise, what we want to see to do.
But your expectation that there will be a series of meetings?
Series of meetings, we'll have this one next week, and then probably another one after the holidays, depending on how quickly we can get down to a vision and mission statement. I'm wanting them to be short and concise. So I'm hoping to get it done in 2 meetings, and then we'll start moving into the goals aspect of it as we start to also head into the budget aspect of it. So I'm looking for the two to work together.
All right, thank you.
So I would say from my standpoint that one of the reasons we were most excited about getting Mr. Brannigan on board is because he does bring this philosophy of starting off the budget process with an understanding of what the goals and visions are. And particularly right now with the financial struggles we're in the middle of, it's particularly important because what comes out of this will help determine where we spend our limited resources in the year to come. So if you want to be a part of that, this is the best opportunity to do that. Anything else, sir?
No, but Julie will have some stuff.
Okay, I'll give it to there. Bishapa?
I would like to thank all of you gentlemen for the honor you gave me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would like to say something that's really quite personal, because it was on this day, many, many years ago, that my parents had a special ceremony for becoming naturalized citizens, because had the ceremony not been held and they had to participate 2 weeks later, I would not have been eligible to become a citizen. I would have had to have waited for 2 years. My brother had already turned 18, so he participated on his own. But I have a picture in the paper of the special ceremony held for my birthday so that I could become a citizen. And the fact that you honored me with the title of Mayor Pro Tem is especially significant. So, thank you. Never did I dream that many moons ago that I would be in this
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Heisler.
You've earned it. We didn't give you anything, you've earned the right. I got a whole, first of all, I sat down tonight and my heart got broke. And it was like, wow. And this letter says, a very good friend of mine and ours, Miss Pam Stock has turned in her resignation. And her last day will be March 4th. And then here it says, Pam told me that she will continue to give 100% until her last day, which I have no doubt. So, she really will be missed. First thing would like to announce is that the Dunsmuir Elementary School has their Christmas stores.
There's a presentation on that.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to, okay, I'll go down, you know me. Okay, as far as the candles in the canyons go, the Rotary, we had a pancake breakfast. We fed 200 people. And during that breakfast, and it was great, a lot of kids, a lot of presents, we raffled off a bike. And it just so happens that if you all remember a few weeks ago, we acknowledged a couple of children that picked up a bunch of 150 pounds of trash up behind the elementary school. Took it on themselves, went up there and picked up the trash.
20 bags of trash.
Well, Carla's a bitch because it came around, them kids won that bike, the little girl won that bike, so God was looking out for them and blessed them on that, so that was kind of cool.
Mr. Heisler, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah?
What makes it even cooler, I don't think people realize, but there's some real karma going on here. Back at Easter time, we had, for the Easter egg hunt and all of that, we had a bike that was a prize. And the prize was given to a young man, I guess he must have been about 10 years, 11 years old, something like that. And the young man said, that's a really nice bike, but I already have one. Why don't you give that bike to somebody who really could use it? So it shows up at the pancake breakfast, and who wins it? But the young lady, the boy and the girl, brother, sister, that's who ends up winning it. So the karma came all the way around on that.
This council, very seldom, but we acknowledged that kid for giving up
Both
the
of them, we
bike.
acknowledge
And
that.
then the person that won it was one that we acknowledged too, so that was kind of cool. During the pancake breakfast, when we were counting up the monies, there was 2 $100 donations, and a couple of $50 donations too, but they found out about the backpack program that Dunsmuir Elementary School does. They have a backpack program that the kids can sign up, they take a backpack home over the weekend, and it's got food in the backpack, healthy food that they can make, so that they, stay, I want to say, stay nutritious. And then they come back Monday, turn the backpack in, and then Friday they got a backpack filled with food to take home again for the following weekend. So it's a killer program, and it was really cool that we had a couple people donate, 2 people, here's $100, here's $100 to the program. I thought that was pretty cool. The Candles in the Canyon was a success. A lot of people, maybe there was only 100 people, but they had fun. Santa had fun. I commend the Pizza Factory for once again putting on an outstanding show, and the presents that they put out for the kids, and everybody that helped cutting the tree, getting the tree down the mountain, getting the tree up. John Poston in his electric truck, he did all the lighting and come down out of his time. So I want to thank everybody for that, and it was fun. Couple other things, let's jump track. There's an awards dinner next Saturday, or this Saturday. I encourage everybody to come. This is where we acknowledge and award our own. Dunsmuir Tires got Business of the Year. Ron McLeod, he got, I think, Ambassador of the Year. And there's another one, Mr. Dennis?
Chris Langston with the church.
Chris Langston. And the awards dinner is at what time?
6 o'clock.
And you can get your tickets where?
Actually, just sign up with the pizza parlor with Jeannie.
And tickets are available at Pizza Parlor with Jeannie at Pizza Parlor, okay? I want to thank everybody that participated in Giving Tuesday. It seems our town made out pretty good. This Thursday, a week from today, will be a potluck dinner for the Neighborhood Watch, my understanding. And I want to reiterate what Mark mentioned Wednesday before. Please come to the Visions meeting. If you got an idea or you got a sense or a feeling of how you think the town should go or what you want, this is where we all come, throw it all in a hat and pull out and we come up with rules and what we want to live by. Okay. Another thing about the Mossbury Falls is I had an opportunity to meet a couple gentlemen that were here this week, or last week, and they were here to, they're giving money to the train museum. It's getting a new roof, it's getting some other things. When I told them about Mossbury Falls, they're like, what? Their committee was going to look into our committee, because when I mentioned the safety factor, I have their cards, I don't know who they were, I shared this with Mark, I didn't keep it to myself, but they want to look and see, I got another aspect of union that is trying to help. So I relayed all the messages and, you know, but here's a bit of news for Dunsmuir. Ouch. We're getting a boardwalk in front of the depot, old school style. That's what they're bringing up, and that's what they're in the works. So it's going to be cool. I'm very excited about that. I think that's pretty neat. And last on my list, well, not last, but I'm trying to get an ugly sweater contest going. I'm sure I've never done it. I got an ugly sweater. So if anybody's got any ideas, want to get together, let's see what we can do and come up with the ugly sweater contest. I think it'd be kind of cool. It's just another way to get together and have a couple drinks and celebrate Christmas.
I don't have any ugly sweaters.
Why would I do not, I believe that. I believe that. One more thing before I pass it over is, again, I want to commend you, and I want to congratulate you guys. You guys have both earned the right to be where you're at right now. Right?
Mr. Drake.
Nothing for me.
Mr.
It's
Mayor.
all been covered.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Best of luck. Anything that I can offer as well, please feel free to call upon me.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things coming up. As you can tell, no shave November is over.
Yeah.
I ended up having shaving, which wasn't too bad because I noticed for some reason the hair on my chin was devoid of color. And I didn't think it was really that time of my life, so getting rid of it wasn't that bad either. My wife is pleased as well. But we were able to raise some good monies. It was added together over the last couple of days. Other compatriots of mine have been helping in Walmart in Wairika, who's been a great gift brother, doing Shop at the Cop and other areas that are going on that other depots will participate. Those monies help go to be able to fund that so that needy young men and women could go shopping. We get their very own cop to shop with to be able to help wrap presents to be able to take them home to their families. So that was very cool. We were able to help with that. Bus stops. I don't know if you guys had a chance to drive by Children's Park and see that really cool bus stop in there, but I think it looks fantastic. I'm excited about having those kind of things renewed. It's clean, it looks sharp, it's stylish, it fits our town well. I'd love to start seeing those little things as they start to show up and do that. Snow removal. I know it's not happened yet, but it is December. Sooner or later we're going to get snow. Just remember, parking, City of Dunsmuir, and snow removal often don't go together very well. So just a reminder, of course, that when the snow does fly and the clouds start coming around, you can move your vehicles to the city lots north and south of City Hall or down by the railroad depot. So that will not only allow the city crew to be able to clear off more snow from in front of your house to give you better parking, but as well as keeping it down. So just remember of that. Neighborhood Watch. Two things. One, we are having kind of impromptu Christmas party potluck.
So if you're interested in attending, please, you're more than welcome. You can send Lori a Facebook message on Facebook if you're that kind of Facebook person. If not, swing by Harley's Antiques, if Harley's there, touch base with him so we can kind of work on what you'd like to bring. A special thanks to the Harleys during the haunted house season. They donated their proceeds to Neighborhood Watch to be able to fund some activities. So we're looking later on in winter and the spring and be able to kind of facilitate some things here in town as well.
Yeah,
So just a thank you to them. Any other questions from the council?
Have we had any kind of an uptick in burglaries, car thefts? I've seen a few things, or is this just a normal flow of things right now?
Normal is kind of a range. The Keenan is very unique in many ways. We have had a couple stolen vehicles. There were people that were local that taken them for a ride. We were able to go find the vehicles and the people responsible for that. So those are obviously really good. But as always, lock your cars, take your keys inside. People do know when you throw them under the mat or under the visor, they figured out that one. And so that's really difficult to be able to do that. Your insurance company doesn't like it very much either. They're not very open to those kind of things. So again, just be reasonable, be cautious, look around at your surroundings, be wise. And if there are issues or concerns develop, please call our office. If you're not getting the response that you believe you should get, come talk to me and we'll work out a solution.
I know one person who learned a lesson, Ms. Catlett,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you, sir. Ms. Isker, did you have something you needed to tell us?
Just an request, please. The city manager and I would like some direction regarding the proposed January 4th council meeting. That will be the first one of the year. It's a little bit of a challenge. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I'm going to be off, spending time with family. Normally, we would try and post the agenda that Friday before New Year's. When we come back, it will actually be the 2nd of January, and our posting date needs to be by Monday, the 1st. So we're just asking for some direction, what's the pleasure of the council, how we should move forward. Our plan is still to have a meeting, the second meeting in December on the 21st as usual. And we feel like we should be able to get most everything done, but just want to get some direction from you, please.
Let's get a show of how many people would like to push it off.
I'll make a motion. Yeah, no.
Not at this moment in time.
I'll make a motion that we just drop the first meeting and go back to, our first meeting would be the 3rd week of December.
Unless you find that you have a lot of things on the agenda, just schedule it
We have
for the following.
pretty wrapped up on the 22nd. There's really not, right? We can wrap it up on the meeting.
That's our hope.
Yeah,
Do I have a second?
Well, we have a meeting on the 21st.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
She's the
But if you
22nd.
find that between the 21st and, things that need to be discussed, you can always.
We can always call a special meeting.
You can always call,
Right.
yeah, if we
But
have to.
I don't see why we
Nobody want-
would afford ourselves to have a meeting. Yeah. So I second whatever. the
There you go.
motion
Have a
is.
first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There we have it, ma'am. We're all set.
Are you relieved?
Okay, so from my standpoint, the one thing I'd like to point out, and following on what Mr. Craig had talked about, from my standpoint, the idea of divisioning. We're a city right now that has all kinds of challenges financially. We've got areas that need to be fixed up. We have a lot of different ways that we can grow. What I hope everyone comes here is imagining what an ideal city would look like in 5 years. If you could imagine what Dunsmuir would look like in 5 years, what would be the qualities? What would the streets look like? What would the schools look like? What would the whatevers look like? And from the standpoint of economic development, what we've been working on in the committee since I've been here has been the idea that the best way to imagine growing as a city is to move a bunch of millennial families here. There's all kinds of problems with that. There's housing, there's jobs, there's all of that. But I'm saying, what would a millennial family with children, what kind of city would they want to move to? What would they like the city to look like? What would be the essence of it? And I think that would be, if you come with that kind of a vision in mind, that could help us pull together a vision that we can share and work together as a team. So that's all I have. With that in mind, we move on.
But Mr. Mayor, before we move on, one more thing.
Yes,
I
sir.
forgot. Ms. Iskra, can I share the information that you shared with me?
Absolutely.
She's not gonna retire yet, so, yay! Ow! I'm Tonight you're not going anywhere.
Really? You're kind
Yeah.
of putting off?
Yeah,
Oh. You should applaud right now.
yeah. Mom's saying it, so.
Thank you. Okay, we have some presentations. We'll start off, the first presentation is the annual Dunsmuir Elementary School Christmas store with Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen, would you please step forward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Mr. Brannigan, thank you for having me in council, Julie. And this isn't the only council in the city of Dunsmuir. The Dunsmuir Elementary School has a council. And they are in charge of the annual Christmas shop, Christmas store held at the school. And this year, it's going to be 4 days. It's going to be Monday the 18th, I think 2021. And it's all voluntary basis, and my understanding is it's been maintained, planned, worked very, very hard by the teachers and the assistants at the school. So my partner Neil and myself, we live across the street from Mrs. Shirley, and she's been the one pretty much in charge of the Christmas for the children. And she walked us across the street one day and asked if we'd volunteer, and we took the whole days, and now we're doing it again this year, and it's a pleasure. But we need help, and we go strictly by donations, and I can only speak to what was donated last year and what I've seen so far this year, and it's really sad. And I know this is a tough time for everybody, and I know that there's a lot of organizations and pleas for toys and all of that. But I have a flyer that I gave to all of you, and I have some handouts here for folks if they'd like them. And I do apologize for the small writing on the bottom. We tried to get everything on one page and have to get creative.
I'm more worried about the tape. I'm ripping it, trying to open it.
Oh, just rip it, I got some extra ones. So my name and my phone number is on the handout, and certainly the school is so happy for people to drop things off there. And it's a pretty good comprehensive list of what the kids want. The not the main focus, there's always lots of little things for the kids, and I'll tell you, it just breaks your heart. These little preschool kids come in, they're missing teeth, and they come in with a little list. And I want to get my thing from mommy and daddy and grandma, and you know, it's just a heart-breaking and warming situation. So we try to have plenty of things for the little guys, but the older kids miss out. The older girls and boys, I mean, the boys just just walk by, and that's kind of a shame, because the way I understand it, this program may be the only, what the children bring home may be the only presents that will be under their trees. So, it's one of those heart-wrenching things that this community wants to better share. But I'm just making my plea, and I hope that we get to hear from you. And that's it.
So if somebody wanted to donate, what would they do, and what kind of things, so people can hear if they don't have a piece of paper in front?
Well,
An
I
example
have-
of what kind of things, could you just tell us?
Oh, of course I will.
Yes.
I got-
Well, you don't have to read every one of them, but in
No, I
general.
won't, but
Yes, ma'am.
the print is kind of small. Well, there's a lot of things for women. Women, it's so easy to buy for or find things in your closet for little girls and women and all that. So it's the gamut, it's purses and scarves and hats and, top of my hands. Jewelry and all those kinds of things. The girls go crazy over that. We are also accepting any unopened, like lotions and colognes and fingernail polish. Historically, people donate things that have been used and things that aren't clean and things and those kinds of things. So we're just trying to make things a little bit nicer. Karen at the library, she was really kind, and she went through a lot of her books at the library. So I was able to buy a couple bags of the juvenile books for the young adults, and lots of the books for the little children. So she donated a lot of those. And so we're trying to hit everything. The teachers are so incredible, these kids are so smart, and they want to keep learning. And so it's nice to let them have some other choices too. We're looking for Christmas decorations. We're looking for more books. We're looking for gift wrapping supplies. What is really fabulous is that the student council, they set up a table outside our shop, and via donated wrapping supplies, boxes, tissue, tape, everything. The children leave the Christmas shop and they take their presents right to a table that's about this close. And then all the student council members wrap the kids' presents for them, so they're able to take them home and put them under the tree. And it makes them feel really special because they've really done something neat for their families. So,
So what you're basically saying, if I could, is you're saying that the kids are going to be taking and buying gifts that they take home to their family, and so they'll be giving gifts for their siblings and also for their parents.
parents, grandparents, their best friend, but it's not for them.
Right.
And they're real clear about that. And there are quite a few children that aren't able to, and I need to bring up prices. We, of course, will give things out of no charge. We don't, we like to let them come up and say, oh, I don't have quite enough money, and it's like, oh, pay me tomorrow, go ahead, that kind of thing. It's just fun to do that with them. We have little kids coming in with a little sandwich bag full of pennies, and how many pennies does it take to buy this doll, kind of a thing. So we're just always looking for things that we can give away too. So we're trying to start the prices at 10 cents. Most things go for a quarter. It's just, we just make it work.
And where should people donate to? Where should they drop things off?
They can drop things off at the school, and I'm sorry, I didn't put in the handout the cutoff date, but the sale starts on, the Christmas shop opens on the 18th, so anything before that. But you can call the school, I've got the phone number in there, and they're happy to accommodate. And if there's somebody that can't make it to the school, just give me a call, my phone number's on here, and I'll send Neil. I'll come and get it, and I'll take care of it. So, I guess that's it. Just lots of things, to bring.
Any questions from council members? Thank you very
Oh,
much. I
you're welcome
appreciate
very
that
much.
very much.
Sure.
Deal. Great, thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Eugene Whitley, who is the Executive Director of the Siskiyou County Arts Council.
Really drum roll, thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for inviting me to speak before the council. As was mentioned, my name is Eugene Whitley. I'm the Executive Director for the County Arts Council, and I've been in the county for all of 6 months and have met so many wonderful people and gotten to know a lot of the communities in the county. We are a service organization, not only for the arts, but for arts, culture, and heritage, and it is our mission to help cultivate strong and creative communities throughout Siskiyou County. So it's important for me to be here tonight just to make you aware that the Arts Council does exist and to let you know what some of the programs, services, and initiatives are that we're doing. Because we're a service organization, we're always soliciting comments and suggestions from people like you as well as community members on how we can best serve arts, culture, and heritage in Siskiyou County. So we're looking for partnerships and collaborations always in some of our programs and future programs and services. As you can see, I left a handout for you. I'll go through this very quickly, but generally, I want you to know that we are a young organization and that we are in partnership with the California Arts Council, which means that we have been designated by the Board of County Supervisors as the only agency in the county that provides these kind of programs and services in Siskiyou County, and which is required to be a state local partner of the California Arts Council, which is where we get our primary source of funding. So we are charged with providing financial support services and other programs, not only to artists and arts organizations, but also to our communities as a whole. And we are charged with promoting cooperation and collaboration in planning, programming, and policy development around arts and culture. We have programs, services, and initiatives. Our programs are primarily focused on the wider community of arts educational programs for children, youth, and adults as well. Poetry Out Loud is a program we've been doing for a number of years. It's a national program sponsored by the NEA and the Poetry Foundation, where students of high school age study great poetry and memorize it and then perform it in a public venue. We're going to have our county competition on January 27th. First time we've held a public competition, so I think it'll be pretty exciting at Wairika Preservation, so I hope you'll be able to attend. The winner from the county competition will go to the state competition in Sacramento, which is pretty exciting. And then from the state winners nationwide go to the national competition in Washington, D.C. in April. So it's a wonderful program that we get to participate in and bring to Siskiyou County. We also have, how do you remember the old Arts Council had a bus that traveled around?
Yeah.
Everybody knows about the bus. I think that's awesome. The problem with the bus, great program, but it kept breaking down. So we eliminated that problem by buying a trailer, so that we can take that around to various venues like fairs, festivals, farmers markets, even school parking lots, to be able to bring art-making activities to children and young adults as well. We are combining it now with a focus on social change issues, such as repurposing what we already have as opposed to adding it to our already overflowing landfills. So we'll be collecting donations for bottle caps, scraps, whatever, and we'll be creating educational art-making activities around reusing and repurposing what we already have. We're going to kick off that program on Earth Day, which is appropriate. And then we'll have a full schedule of taking it around to the county throughout the summer and fall. Services are primarily focused on artists and arts organizations. So we have an arts directory that's on our website that provides a connection between artists, businesses, and patrons, as well as event planners. So not only do artists have an opportunity to list themselves, images of their artwork, artist statements, etc., but we also have listings for arts and cultural organizations and venues. Which is also extending those people in our arts directory to the True North Alliance, Arts and Cultural Alliance, which is 5 different arts councils within our region. So they get even broader visibility by being in our arts directory. Fiscal sponsorship is a way for us to help seed new creative projects, whether that's individual artists wanting to paint a new public mural, or whether it's an arts organization that's just getting off of the ground and are not considered a nonprofit. So by our being a fiscal sponsor for them, we can accept funding and ensure IRS compliance and also provide them with some startup services. Some of you may have heard about the new Jefferson Center for the Arts that's going to be opening in the spring in Mount Shasta. They're one of our fiscal sponsor relationships. Once a fiscal sponsor organization like that gets started, she'll probably form her own nonprofit, Friends of. But in the meantime, we're there to provide oversight and support services for that fledgling organization. I especially want to talk to you about the 2 new initiatives that we're just kicking off. The initiatives for us are larger projects, maybe one-time projects, longer term. So the one I'm most excited about right now is the Veterans in the Arts, called Fragments, an Archaeology of Memory. That's going to be a countywide initiative as well, October 26th through the end of November. Our centerpiece exhibition will feature one of the sculptural pieces of Dennis Smith, who did the sculptures at the Living Memorial Sculpture Garden. So we're really excited about that. And then we'll have another feature artist, and that will be in Wairika at Liberty Arts. But what we really are excited about is having veterans artwork on display at a variety of venues throughout the county, as well as providing workshops, self-expressive workshops, healing for veterans, current military, and their families. So we'll be doing that as well, and having a field trip program that will include some professional development opportunities for both art and history teachers, and then field trips probably to the Living Memorial Sculpture Garden for students in the spring. The other initiative that we're just kicking off is community placemaking, which is interesting that you're doing the visioning and mission workshops, because that's similar to what we're hoping to do through the Siskiyou Revitalization Network. We want to expand the impact that arts, culture, and heritage has in our communities. And so we're proposing in a pilot program that we're hoping to do with either Fort Jones or Etna in January maybe, is to have public gatherings. This is a public process, very much like your visioning workshop, where people get together to identify what is unique and special and authentic about that community. So basically, we're redefining who we are, as some of the industries that have gotten us where we are today are no longer as viable, like the lumber industry. So now we're all kind of struggling with trying to figure out what our new identity is. Not only then to use that information that we collect from the community members to improve the quality of life and livability of our communities for the people who live here, but also to increase economic vitality through tourism. So again, that's a program that we're proposing through the Siskiyou Revitalization Network. And once we get through the pilot program and learn lessons from process as well as content, then we're working also with the Ford Family Foundation and other funders to be able to take this community placemaking initiative out to all communities in Siskiyou County over the course of the next year or two. And most importantly is the last statement on here is building our future together. And I'm always open to hearing what you and your constituents think that the Arts Council could be doing to help support arts, culture, and heritage in Siskiyou County. And I'll just direct you to the second page, which is a bit more detailed information about the Veterans Initiative. I'm meeting with the board of SAM next week, I think, to talk about how they'll be involved with an exhibition of some veterans artwork as well. And if there are other venues in Dunsmuir that would like to participate, or if there are workshops and workshop providers that you can think of, then I'm definitely eager to hear that. We'll be applying for a grant for this program through the California Arts Council, but it does require matching funds, so we do have to do some fundraising locally as well. So this is really going to be a county-wide collaborative effort on all levels. So take a look at the more detailed information, and again, if you have any questions, let me know. Any questions this evening?
Questions from the council? No, I'd like to say thank you very much. I know we've been working together with the Siskiyou Revitalization Network, and it's exciting. We see a chance to bring together the artists and create a lot of content that can be shared with the rest of the world, and working together with Siskiyou Media Council and the Arts Council. I see a real opportunity to do some exciting things. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda is adopted. Okay, moving on to no public hearing, so moving on to old business, cannabis.
Cannibal. Let's read the cannibal ordinance.
Cannabis ordinance, second reading. Mr. Brannigan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. What we have in front of you this evening is to discuss the possible second reading. There's two ordinances that were read at the last meeting, at the second meeting in November. And we titled them Ordinance 558A, which is the ordinance that the Marijuana Task Force Committee has been primarily working on and are continuing to work on, along with the zoning aspect that would accompany this later. and ordinance 558B, which was read as well, which is just a ban on marijuana, cannabis altogether. There is a third option, is that there is no second reading, and it would go to the state for control, where we would lose all local control. So those are the three options for you this evening, and let's see, that's really about it.
I got the feeling from our last discussion at the last meeting that all of us were pretty much working on making sure that we could pass the one ordinance that does set up things. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
So
We're
if we,
hoping to pass the 5A, the same reading, we just need to formally have the second reading by title if possible.
yeah, for sure. So with that in mind, what do we do to actually solidify or make this the option to
Make a
choose?
motion.
Well, we have to have public comment
Yeah,
first.
But I mean, basically, that's what we do. We have the ordinance here, we make a resolution, go from there. Any questions before we go to the public comment?
No, I don't think I have any questions. Obviously, I'll just reiterate, like I did before, that the ordinance 558 only addresses some aspects of the cannabis industry. There are other issues that behooves the city to have a thorough discussion on and figure out what we want to make a recommendation to the council to move forward with. So because of that, we haven't had a thorough discussion of some of the other aspects. I'm particularly referring to manufacturing, distribution, and testing facilities. Those activities are banned outright in 558 so that we can have an extension period to work through them. Issues with regard to retail sales and cultivation are addressed as a regulation in the ordinance. Obviously, we've been through all the particulars of that at our last meeting, but that the zoning aspects of those things will be further handled, I think, with another ordinance, a zoning ordinance. And the task force continues their work on that. We had a meeting last Tuesday and then another meeting in 2 weeks, I believe, on the 19th. So please continue to come to those meetings if you can and help participate in that process. That's all I have.
Greg, Bryce, the one thing that I was wondering about is that I know there's the deadline of January 1st so that we maintain our control. So that's one of the deadlines. For looking at it from the other end, though, people who do want to start a business here, the clock also starts for them on January 1st too, right? In other words, they want to put in an application earlier. Does that make a difference?
I'm not an expert on all the particulars in terms of what potential cannabis industry entrepreneurs need to do, but there's certainly plenty of resources out there at the state level and with the advocacy groups for them to seek out that. So I don't know exactly what the deadlines are, all that, but I think more further, to sort of answer your question, the city and the committee, as part of its work continuing forward, still need to develop the application by which they would apply. There's, depending on which aspects of the industry you'd be involved in, there's conditional use permits or permits and licenses and fees that you have to pay, fees that are set by the city council. So there's still a ton of work to be done. This is the first step in the process, but again, I'm really proud of the task force. So far, it hasn't always been easy, but it's been really productive, and I'm excited to have the second reading of our ordinance.
Well, before I go to the public comment, I got to say I commend both of you because everything I've heard, everything that anyone said here has complimented you both and the community as a whole on the work that you've done. A lot of smiles from different sides of the aisle, so I commend you both.
Thank you.
Public comment.
That sounds strange to me. I don't feel like there's smiles on both sides.
Well, there's Sergeant Merrill there smiling.
Yeah, one
No fist fights. Okay, public comment.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am.
I missed the making of it, but I saw the little hammer by you, so good for you. The last comment that was made at the last meeting was, somebody, Mario, came to the podium and said, what Leslie needs to do is pony up. Those were his words. And come to the planning commission, in his opinion. And I think that was if I could keep my shop. But I just wanted to remind, because none of these people were here when I first opened, and all the acrimony that took to become a legal dispensary in Dunsmuir. So what I just want to run through this a little bit. What I had to do was attend a number of acrimonious meetings as the council and the planning commission came up with a way to regulate a dispensary, or any dispensaries. And it took a lot of meetings, and there was a lot of people. This place was packed every single time, and it was acrimonious. There was people angry on both sides of this issue. And they finally decided to create a conditional use permit if you wanted to be a dispensary. And I had to go through that. I had to pony up $300 and go before the planning commission, who had never had to do this kind of thing before. So they had to, I stood here at this podium while they questioned me for about 45 minutes, because they didn't understand really how dispensaries work and how collectives work. And we worked through it, and at the end, with a whole list of rules and regulations, I was granted a conditional use permit, which I've had for 7 years. So I was a little offended when a member of the city staff said, the best thing that could happen to the city would be if Leslie had to pony up money and go before the planning commission. And I just feel like, I think I already did that. And that's all I had to say about that. And then my last thing is tonight is going to be the second reading of the ordinance. And so something happened the other night at the marijuana task force meeting that I will call reefer sadness. But what's in the ordinance that you're about to do a second reading under 5.05.60 is commercial cannabis cultivation. And what it says, and what you're about to adopt for the second time under B, says outdoor commercial cultivation of cannabis outside the historic district, so that's not just downtown, but outside the historic district, with a conditional use permit issued by the planning commission shall be allowed. So you're about to vote for that, so shall be allowed. Except for the other night, it was led by Monty Shanta, vice mayor, wanted to change this chart. And she said it was because she'd received a number of phone calls. And I've heard her make that comment before, and I said, well, can I give out your phone number to people so they can call and share it? And she said, no, I don't want my phone number out there.
That is totally untrue.
Okay, then I'll put your number out there, but that's, you and I had a good conversation out there, and you said, I'll give you,
Never said that.
Yes.
I'll give you, you said I'll give you my email, but I don't want my phone number out there in public. So I just thought that's not fair that like 15 people, according to you, have access to you, and you come in there and you espouse your views. So, Monty Shanta led a discussion that ended up taking away the right for people to grow outside the conditional use permit, which would mean that if somebody wanted to have a small cultivation license with 0 to 25 plants previously, or you're about to adopt it, could come to the planning commission, and it would be a case-by-case scenario. They would say, here's how big my land is, and the commission could say, well, maybe not 25, but based on your backyard, I think that you should be allowed to grow 10 plants. And then you could grow those and you could sell them to a dispensary or go to a farmer's market. I think that's really reasonable. So I was disappointed to see that the task force has recommended that you rescind that right. And the task force can make recommendations to the council, but you don't have to adopt them. I've seen the planning commission make recommendations that they totally ban cultivation, and when it got to the council, they said, thank you for that recommendation, but we're not going to do that. So that's what a task force do. They make recommendations, but I can understand if you don't want people to have 26 plants up to 10,000 square feet. I don't know that would work in Dunsmuir anyways, but I think there's plenty of places, and if you really are trying to attract millennial families, letting them know that with a conditional use permit, which means you have to lay it out there for the planning commission and make your argument why your parcel of land would be suitable for up to 25 plants, and allowing the planning commission to say, maybe not 25, but your little land. I know people here that Sarah Clark has like an acre, all hidden with no neighbors around her. If she wanted to get a commercial license and go through the thing and get a thing for 20 plants, I don't see why you wouldn't allow that. So you should think about that. Again, congratulations, folks.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
25202 Dunsmuir Avenue, and I don't have an acre. Okay. I'm not-
This council is sorry that we let somebody use your name like that. We should have said something, but,
It's okay, she can speak. The point is that I agree with part of what she's saying. I think the small mom and pop 0 to 25 plant commercial grows, which I'm not interested in having a commercial grow, I'll clear that out right now, should be allowed, because that helps people in our community start little businesses and do things. And it's all above board, and it's all with, like she said, with permission, planning commission and all that. And by not allowing those to be outdoors, I think it makes it kind of hard on a lot of unemployed people who would like to employ themselves in this new industry, which I brought up before. And that's basically what I wanted to say to you, that they should be allowed small grows with overview, that they should be allowed to do that commercially. Because otherwise, like she said, where are we gonna get all these big grow people to come in here? And, you know, I don't think we have that much room for that either. But small ones would help the community, I think. That's what I had to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else? I close the podium to public comment. The question I have is, I have no idea that we're doing any changing. I think, as I understood, we were going to come and... Yes, sir.
If I can, just address both of the comments that were made. None of the zoning aspects are before the council tonight. What's before the council tonight is the work we've done to create a regulatory framework to maintain local control of these specific aspects of the cannabis industry. As part of that process, it's slightly more confusing than it has to be, because as part of that process, we did carve out a specific prohibition of outdoor commercial cultivation in the historic district. So we sort of flirted with some of the specific zoning, because we wanted to carve out to promote tourism, to maintain our historics, the look of our historic district. We began with that. But we said, outside of that, we'll handle that with zoning. And then, it's slightly confusing. It says that it's allowed, but it needs to be allowed with what's allowed with zoning. So updates, hopefully, I believe, will be made to our zoning in order to allow for certain uses. This is a brand new industry. This has not been legal in the state of California up until now. Now it is.
definitions of perimeters of it.
Right, but there's specifics around, if you look at our zoning, this is what we got into the other night. If you look at our zoning, every zone, and you can look at it and see there's 4 residential zones, 3 different commercial types of zones, central commercial, C1, C2, C2H is our historic district. And then there's a few other manufacturing zones that we don't really have many properties that are in any of those zones. But each of those zones has like a big old list of approved types of businesses in the commercial zones or in the residential zones. You can have a hair salon here, you can have a pet grooming place, it lists a bunch of different stuff. All of what the town feels is appropriate in those zones. That's what zoning is for. Obviously, the cannabis industry is not going to be in any of those zones because it's never been legal in the state before. So if we're going to allow it in any zones, we're going to have to update that list. And that's the process that the task force is undertaking now to figure out what's appropriate. And that will mean it's zoning and land use, and then we're going to go to the planning commission for approval. But it's understood that because of this deadline, we have to, if we want to be able to allow any aspects of this business, we need to put in place regulations that we have considered or ban the ones that we haven't, so that we can give ourselves some leeway here, so we can continue to work on it, because the deadline's January 1st. So that's exactly what the ordinance that we've worked very hard on does. It's exactly what the ordinance that we all voted 5-0 last time does, and it's beyond our discussion tonight to really get into the zoning, because that will come before us very soon.
Commissioner, I'd like to give you an opportunity, since you're one of the co-members of the task force. What thoughts would you like to add at this point?
The item on the agenda is to do a second reading of the ordinance, which has not changed whatsoever.
Right.
It is a procedural item. We have to go through ordinance itself in the section says that you have to conform to the land usage. That is what we're doing eventually. It will have to go to planning commission, and then the planning commission is going to in turn send it over to the city council, for consideration. So, and that's the process that is basically up on the whiteboard, but it has nothing to do with the ordinance in front of us.
I understand, thank you. Mr. Brannigan, I'm going to give everyone a chance just to say if they have anything else to add right now before we go to a vote.
I just, if anything, again, thank the Marijuana Task Force committee members. We've had 13 or 14 meetings, and it is one of those topics that you're not always going to get 100% vote because there's different beliefs, but that's what this city council wanted, was to have a diverse group and to represent the city, and it's a democratic process, and I think it's working wonderfully.
Mr. Keisler?
Are you guys ready?
I'd like to make a motion if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I move that we read ordinance CC 558 by number and title only. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Dunsmuir amending Title 5 of the Dunsmuir Municipal Code by adding Chapter 5.05 to regulate the establishment, operation, cultivation, manufacturing, sale, testing, and distribution of commercial cannabis.
I second that
I
motion.
second.
I recognize you,
I
Sean.
second it.
Okay.
We have a first and a second. Is this money involved or no?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Hey,
Congratulations, and I'd like to thank the task force for a wonderful job. You improved the city of Dunsmuir well, you did swell.
We're not done.
I know, we got a lot more work to do.
no.
Okay, we'll move on to the final item. This is one of those rare evenings where we only have two pieces of business, and the second one should take about 5 minutes, I imagine. Budget amendments. This is the new business budget amendment, fire department. Mr. Brannigan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you, is a
Excuse
request.
me, Mark, I'm sorry, you don't have to stop the meeting. I'm just going to use the restroom real quick, but we don't need a recess. I don't continue the flow, but I had too much water. I'm
Just be back for the
I'm versed in this issue, and I'll be right back.
This is a request from the fire chief to, he's not asking for additional funds, he's just asking to move money from his supplies into his travel and training. He's looking to send a volunteer fireman to the academy. So he's not looking to increase his budget, he's just looking to move money around and take this opportunity to send one of his volunteer firemen to training.
Do we know who this person is?
You do know it is, he's not here today, or else he would have to recuse himself. He's looking to send Mr. Spurlock.
Mr. Spurlock. Okay, I assume there are no questions from us?
Nope.
I bet you there are no questions from the public, but I open the podium to public for public comments. Going once, going twice, no public comment. I close the podium. Discussion.
we can do anything except vote on it until it gets back,
Why not?
right?
Well, I want to ask a question. Is this, I know it's a prerogative.
You got it correct where it says fiscal impact, that means that we take a roll call vote.
There's
No,
no fiscal impact.
No,
It's
it's
just moving money.
money.
Yeah.
Is
When
this
it's
something-
marked fiscal
Can I
impact,
mark that fiscal?
yes, sir, you did. That means roll call vote. That means you wait for him. But if it's not,
There's
then
no, there is a budget amendment that will be done, but it's not an impact to the budget because it's not requesting additional funds.
I make a motion that we,
No, I want to ask a question.
No,
before you make
Ms.
the
Shonda,
motion.
ask a question, please.
Is this something that is, happened before?
In what regard?
That, fire chief or has been asked to, move monies to allow one of the volunteer firefighters to go to, Tennessee or whatever?
Not that I'm aware of. It may have been in the past, but this is first element.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any, is this, no, it's a question that I wanted to know, why, there's a need to do that.
Well, the chief has and myself to approve the authority to spend what money is within that department's budget. He went to the finance director, looking to enroll somebody into this academy, but his budget did not have the right amount of money within the budget. So no staff did not have the authority to grant that request. So there was two options that I presented. One was to request for additional funds to look at, does he have funds within his existing budget to shift, and in my opinion, would make it easier, because we're not trying to get more money from the general fund reserve. So he looked into his budget and believes that he can move the $500 out of, I think it's supplies, move it into travel and training, and then be able to spend it by sending volunteers to the town. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Well, you didn't really answer my question, because we are in a budget deficit. We had to approve and go out of budget, for this even a month ago for something that the fire department wanted. And I'm just wondering whether this is the item that we want to get ourselves into. But, I understand that, but is there anybody else that is going to be recommended to go to COS Firefighter Academy? Our understanding that it's all volunteer, and
Can I just jump in with a quick comment? I'm not certain of the history of it, and certainly Mr. Padilla could help us understand if he's used his department funds for this in the past. But I recall that that the department does pay for Fire Academy, at least on occasion. I don't know with what regularity, and I'm seeing some nods from someone wearing a fire hat out there.
They always do. They always do.
It is fairly common practice to send dedicated volunteers to a fire academy when they either could not afford it or the funds were in the training within the budget. It is
Thank you.
fairly common practice.
yeah, I'm just, just questioning, we are running a budget deficit, and the fire department has come, asking for
Did I
funds,
miss public comment?
even
Well,
moving.
yeah,
That was already public.
Yeah.
There was not.
yeah.
Okay, we've had public comment, and did that answer, you have your questions answered?
The question I asked, yeah.
I move to authorize the finance director to transfer $500 funds from the fire department's supplies and materials account into their training and education account.
I'll second that.
Okay, go ahead.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I oppose it.
Okay, one opposed, 3-4. Carries. Anything else for next meeting that we want to talk about before we adjourn?
I don't have anything.
How come, are we being video, are we live yet? Are we live yet?
I did receive an email from Cindy just today saying that she is working on getting a contract, is wanting to meet with me next week, in hopes that we get a contract to the council for consideration at the next meeting, which is the 21st.
Cool.
The one thing I have to bring up, and it was an idea I thought about, we may want to consider on the agenda, having our presentations before the committee reports and the council comments, public comments, so presenters could come and leave and not sit through the rest. Is there any objection to that?
No, I wouldn't have objection.
No objection.
I think it's considerate.
Am I having the committee reports after all the agenda items?
Well, let's really move it, let's, if we would, just move the presentation up right after flag. Roll call on that. Good? That make sense? Anything else?
I move we adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Watch this, meeting adjourned.